Welcome back to another issue. In this episode, we once again speak with Dr. Jim, this time in honor of World AIDS Day.
Hey everybody, it is a pleasure to be here, and I send all my love to all the LGBTQ plus XYZ alphabet mafia in the country of Canada.
So just for a recap for anyone who hasn't checked out our other episode with you, though they should because it's an absolutely incredible piece by everyone involved. Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Dr. James, and I reside right now in South Florida, but if you listen to my accent, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And my PhD is in psychology, specialization in gender diversity. My work has been published in the Journal of AIDS and Clinical Research. I've received certificates from Harvard. I received a second certificate from the North Central University campus on LGBTQ issues in marriage and family therapy. Both of my posters were accepted and presented at the American Psychological Association's 2020 and 2021 virtual conventions. And I could keep going on. I sit on several advisory boards. I sat on a transgender advisory board. I sit on the Gay Men's HIV Workshop out of Florida. I sit on the HIV AIDS Review Panel, which is a body of people that review information before it is disseminated to the public. So the health department sends it to us, we look it over, and then we give it a yes or a no of whether it should be distributed or not. I also sit on the HIV Stigma Board out of the University of Florida, Gainesville, and I've presented my work at least 10 or 12 times to the CDC. My work was mentioned at the United Nations, and it was presented at the State Health Department in Tallahassee, Florida.
That is a laundry list of credentials. Oh my.
I love my work, and if I couldn't help my friends that died of AIDS, but I figured there were so many other people I could help, so why not?
Probably the healthiest attitude to have, all things considered.
Yes.
Red, do you want to start with your first question?
Sure. So when this episode goes out, it will be World AIDS Day. And so I think we should start like how we start to destigmatize HIV and AIDS.
That's an uphill battle because you have a lot of people, even in the alphabet mafia, as I call it, there are too many letters to go through. But even in the alphabet mafia, there's so much information that's wrong. For instance, do people still die of AIDS? Yes, they do. Oh, well, that's impossible. People don't die of AIDS anymore. Well, if they're not taking care of themselves, they will. Also, people that have had the virus for 35 and 40 years, they're now in their 60s and 70s, and they're dealing with aging as well as the ravages of having the virus for 40 years and the medications they've taken for such a long time. And it takes its toll on the body. So how to destigmatize it? It's a chronic disease. Yes, you can get it, but if you're undetectable, you're untransmissible. And in the United States, we have a program that's called U equals U. The letter U equals the letter U, which is undetectable equals untransmissible. Meaning if your viral load is not detectable, you can have unprotected sex and not get HIV. However, you can get all the other STIs that are out there. Sexually transmitted infections. We don't use the term in the United States, sexually transmitted diseases. They're infections, they're not diseases. So you can still get those, but you will not get HIV, which is why they recommend using a condom, because you can get all those other illnesses. I don't care what name you use, gender outlaw. If you're having sex and you're not being careful, you can get a sexually transmitted infection. Yeah, well, we have the term in the United States, they call it gender outlaw.
I like that term.
Never the best words I've heard all day.
No, never.
Really? Yeah, we call it gender outlaw, meaning that they're the outlaws. They don't aspire to male or female, so they're called gender outlaws. And they love referring to themselves as such.
Yeah, it's a super cool term.
Yeah,
it really is. And that's why I don't say I'm gay. I call myself part of the alphabet mafia.
There you
go. Because to have to go through LGBTQIA++, I just rather say alphabet mafia.
And it sounds cooler.
It is cool.
And how would you say that the AIDS crisis changed the shape of alphabet mafia movements?
It's changed several times. I marched with Larry Kramer and ACT UP in New York City because I'm from, as I said, Brooklyn, New York. And at that time in the 80s, I was living in New York City. I think the reason they were so able to gather these people together, they were fighting for their lives. So they said, we really have to do something because we're the ones that are going to die. Many of them did. So I think that changed the way people organized. In addition, it was the women, the lesbians, who stepped up to take care of all the gay men who were dying. I have such remarkable love for my lesbian sisters of all races, of all colors, of all denominations, because you helped my friends stay alive. And I can never repay you for that. And it's a little known fact that the lesbians were the ones who stepped up because they weren't getting AIDS, and nearly they got it, but not to the extent that gay men were dropping like flies. I mean, literally, it was horrific. And if it wasn't for the women, I don't know where we'd be. So that's why in the New York parade, we have the women always marching first. That is our thank you, and it is our forever thank you to the women.
I know that the acronym did change from GLBT to LGBT. Would this been at that time when that happened?
Yes, it went from GLBT to LGBT. Again, thanking the women, putting them first. They're our queens.
And was that like practice of mutual aid, a long-standing thing that shifted to accommodate the crisis as it panned out, or did it emerge because the need was there?
I think a little of both. There was a need there, and a lot of lesbians were friends with gay men. There was really no segregation back then. So, you could see a bunch of lesbians in a gay male bar, and there was no problem. Again, I'm from New York City, so you'd go to a bar, and, you'd go to a leather bar, you'd go to a fetish bar, you'd see the women dressed, the women that presented themselves as more masculine, the women that presented themselves as more feminine, with the gay men who were masculine, who were feminine, and everybody was just there. And it was out of necessity, but it was out of camaraderie. It was a little bit of both.
Very much birds of a feather, as per se.
Well, we were all in trouble at that time. I mentioned before in the other video, I used to hang out with two of the people in that riot. I knew two of the women in the Stonewall riot. At that point, they were called transvestites. I had never heard the word transsexual or transgender until many years later. Now, remember, in 1969, I was a baby gay. I was younger than them, much younger. I was barely into my teen years, and I was going down to the village because I was a precocious little, how shall I say this nicely? A precocious little monster. That's a nice way of saying it. My mother used different terms, but that's what I'm going to use. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I used to hang out with Marsha P. Johnson. I hung out with Sylvia Rivera. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know anything about them. I was in the presence of history, and I knew nothing.
What would you say are the longest lasting impacts of the AIDS crisis?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Thanks.
The longest lasting impacts. Gay people are not going to be messed with. You can kill some of us, but you're not going to kill all of us.
Hey there, Crusaders. The following discussion contains mentions of suicide and the effects these thoughts have on an individual. Viewer discretion is advised. If you or anyone you know needs someone to talk to, the Canadian Suicide Prevention Service number is on screen now. And now, back to the discussion.
And we're just going to keep coming back until you give up. And I think people learn that we are a force to be reckoned with. And again, that's even before it was political. We were just a force to be reckoned with, although we lost a lot of people. I lost over 100 friends, and I watched them die. And I saw things in my 20s that I should have never seen. And it gave me PTSD. I went to therapy for years. And then I had the survivor's guilt because I never got HIV. I did everything everybody else did, but I didn't get it. So it was a very difficult. And I tried, and I just begun speaking about this. I tried to kill myself, but I did it passively. I would only have sex with people that had HIV. I would only have sex with people that had full-blown AIDS because I didn't want to be left behind. The universe, however, decided, nope, you're going to be left behind. We got things for you to do, and you're staying whether you like it or not. And I really believe with my heart and soul that the reason that I was here, that I was left, was to write that dissertation on HIV stigma, gay men, and resilience. I really wanted to die. I was losing 3 and 4 people a week, not a month, not a year, a week. And most of them passed away from 88 to 94, 96. And I still lost a few after that. But, you know, I've buried over 100 friends. I buried both my parents, and I'm still here. And I don't try any, you know, I think to myself, okay, universe, you win. Whatever it is you want me to do, I'll do. Wherever you put me, I'll be. Wherever you need me, I'll go. I just gave up. But when I was in my 20s, I didn't want to live. I wanted to be with them. It's very difficult because I have no friends to look back on. They're all dead. I've outlived these people by 20 and 30 years. I have very few friends in my life now. We have a huge problem in the gay community. It's called ageism. And because I say hello to a younger guy, right away they think I want to sleep with them. Honey, I don't do diapers and I don't do windows. I don't do children. So don't give me the crap that, oh, hi, how are you today? Oh, well, you know, no, I don't sleep with older men. I says, I never said I wanted to sleep with you. I said, hello, how are you?
Yeah, like, did I stutter? Like,
it's called being human.
Yeah, there's more to community than sex.
I wish a lot of gay men could hear what you just said, because it goes in one ear and out the other. You wouldn't believe the crap that I hear from younger gay men. It's like, you know what, honey? We fought so that you have the rights that you have now. So get your head out of your ass.
So you've talked about the universe a handful of times. Are you religious in any way? And
No.
Did the AIDS crisis change your relationship with spirituality?
No, I was always spiritual. I always believe in a higher power. I don't believe in organized religion. I find it to be cancerous. Anybody that can use religion or any book, be it the Quran, the Bible, what have you, and say, you deserve to die because that's what our Creator said. No, not following you. Or, well, you know, gay people got AIDS because God was punishing them. Oh, so that means because your mother got cancer, your mother was being punished. I say that to straight people. Oh, well, I hear your mother had a terrible cancer for 2 years before she died. What did she do that was so awful? Or maybe your mother deserved the cancer because she was such a rotten person. Oh, you don't want to hear that? Well, I don't want to hear your crap. So I put people in their place with that. So we have major problems. But I want to get back to AIDS. Yeah. I want to tell you my experiences. I used to go to 2 and 3 hospitals a day sometimes visiting friends. And I can remember that the nurses, the doctors would leave the trays of food on the floor outside the door. They were afraid to go into the rooms because they thought it was in the air. A lot of them died of starvation. They did not die of AIDS. They died of starvation because the food was left outside the door. I would go in thinking I had the virus. I said, you know what? I got the goddamn thing anyway. I might as well go in and feed these people, because my friends would be in the next room or in the next bed. And I'd say, give me the damn trays. But James, I said, James, nothing. I've got it too. I'm gay. I've probably got it. I didn't, but I didn't know. There was no test.
Right.
So I'd go in and I'd feed them. And I had one friend that was in an AIDS ward with 15 or 20 guys in beds, all dying. And he died 3 days after I saw him. He had a brain tumor that was pressing on his optic nerve. So he was blind in one eye, seeing double out of the other, and he could barely speak. I can still see him. He was 33 years old. I have another friend who died in Colorado. He wrote me letters. And the last letter he wrote me a month before he died September 24th, 1988. He said, don't worry about me, I'll be okay. I didn't hear from him anymore after that. And it was only after I called up the Metropolitan Community Church of Denver, Colorado, that I found that he died 4 days after his 34th birthday. There was so many like that.
Do you still have those letters?
Yes, I've got every letter he ever wrote me. In fact, they sent me the eulogy that he wrote for his funeral on a tape cassette. And he mentions my name. He wrote that in 1988. I still haven't listened to that tape. Still, one day soon I'm going to listen to it. I just got to get a machine that'll play it now because tape cassettes don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But it was sent to me with a letter, which I still have. I saved everything. My friend from childhood came looking for me in Brooklyn, and he died in 92 or 93. I came to Florida. I had his address, and I see his mother and sister in the house. And I said, where's Johnny? She said, he died. He came looking for you. I said, what do you mean he died? He died of AIDS. I'm like, what? We grew up together from 5 years old. I said, you got to be kidding me. And I said, what do you mean he came looking for me? He knew he was dying, so he wanted to come and see me. But I never got to see him. So he died without me getting to see him. That was hard. That was really hard because we grew up together. And then my best friend is an adult. He died April 9th, 1996. He was in St. Vincent's Hospital, and He died 2 days after Easter, and I was with him on Easter Sunday. And I remember back then, they didn't have digital. So the charts were on clipboards at the edge of the bed, hanging from the edge of the bed where the feet are. So I picked up the chart when the nurse was gone, and I see 3 T cells, and I thought, Jesus Christ, you have 3 T cells? You can't have a good orgy with 3 T cells. I said, Michael, but we were like that. I said, are you kidding me? Why didn't you tell? I didn't want you to worry about me. And then he started crying, saying, I don't want to leave you because I'm your last friend and you don't have anybody after me. And I don't want to leave you. And I told him, you have to go. I said, you can watch over me and do more for me from up there than you can here because you're so sick. And it was 2 days later at 7 a.m. I got the call that he died. And I know he's watching over me, but that was really hard. Damn. I didn't think it would bother me this much after all these years.
Thank you so much for sharing that and being so open about that with us.
It was hard. And then my next best friend, he died July 3rd, 2010. And right before he died, I sat with him and I said, I want you to know these last 20 years as my friend has been incredible. And I said, I love you. And he goes, yes. And I love you too. And those were the last words he spoke to me. And the next morning he died. And I don't have any best friends anymore. My 2 best friends are dead. And it's been very difficult. It's been extremely difficult. And these stories need to be told because they're part of history. They're part of who we are. They're part of what makes us strong. And I know the younger people don't understand that, but by hearing my story, you will learn about where you come from. So
that is importance of not only our conversation this time around, but last time round, where it is the origins of what the Alphabet Mafia comes from, what we have experienced to get to this point, and where we can continue to grow.
And we need the AIDS stories. We need those stories because my generation is getting older and we're not going to be here forever. Although I'm going to be here a damn long time because I still got lots of work to do. And my mother lived to 96 and my father was almost 90. So I don't plan on going anywhere for another 25 to 30 years. So I tell people, you're stuck with me whether you like it or not. I wish more young people were more interested. I wish more young people understood their history and why we had to fight so hard. I knew Gilbert Baker, the guy who created the gay pride flag. I knew him. I knew Vito Russo, the man who wrote The Celluloid Closet. I used to hang out with Keith Haring in New York City when he was painting those stupid stick figures that are now worth millions of dollars. And I used to tell him, Jesus Christ, these things are ugly. I happened to be in the right places at the right time. And I love talking to people. And I love talking to strangers because I've learned more from strangers than I've learned from friends. You learn more, you learn a lot from people if you just open your ears and listen. Another thing I wanted to mention is that during those early years, when they had the gay pride parades, what we did, the healthy people that, whether we had HIV or not, we were still healthy. We would march down the street with these men in wheelchairs who couldn't walk. We knew they were going to die. They knew they were going to die. But let me tell you, the biggest cheers that came from the crowd was for those men who showed up in the wheelchair. And it was June, and some of them had blankets on their legs because they were so emaciated, and heavy shirts and heavy things because they were cold. And I was proud to be able to walk some of those men in the wheelchairs. I was proud to do that. It was very important. That was such a moving thing. And one year I marched with the Gay Men's Chorus, and they were singing a bunch of songs, and you could see people on the sidelines crying. And it was such an amazing thing. You don't see that anymore. Everything is now corporate sponsored crap. Windows, banks, join this organization. Look at these impact windows. Join the bank, join the gym. What has that to do with pride? But we have there's an organization in New York City called Take Back Pride. There's now 2 marches. There's the corporate march, and then there's the march where no corporations are allowed. That is gaining huge momentum because I don't want to see Chase Manhattan. I don't want to see Wells Fargo, Wendy's, McDonald's. If you support us, join us. You can hold your little McDonald's flag, but you don't have to put a booth up trying to get people into your booth.
Yeah, like wear a shirt all you want, but this is the reason you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm suggesting that to my family in Canada, that maybe they should start doing that in Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton, British Columbia. Maybe you could start getting the movement back to its roots instead of corporate sponsorship, which means kissing their ass to get money. So because of COVID, I didn't get to go to 2020 or 2021, but I will be marching in 2022 of June. And I'm going to have my little sign up that says, I marched in June of 1970, and I'm still here, damn it. I marched in that first parade.
Since you brought it up, you survived an epidemic. How's the pandemic been for you?
Well, I got my 2 vaccines and my booster. I had COVID.
Oh.
March of 2020. Sick for a week, fevers, coughing, no sense of taste. I could smell the food, but it tastes terrible. I coughed for 1 year.
Wow.
Just a cough, but nothing, no side effects. And when the vaccine came out, I was one of the first people to grab it because I work with the health department. So they said, Jim, get down there today. They're not taking appointments. Just go now. Get off the phone, go.
And you went, aye, like.
Oh, I was there. I pushed other cars out of the way. Like, get the hell out of my way, damn it. So, I believe in science. I don't believe in stupidity. There's no LED lights. I'm not using bleach. I'm not drinking Clorox.
No horse dewormer.
No, I'm not using horse dewormers because I'm not a horse.
First and foremost.
I'm not a horse. Well, you know something? Let me tell you. Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up. Back then, there was a movement with gay men, and I can only speak in New York City, where they said that HIV was made up by the government so that gays would stop having sex with each other because they disapproved of us. Now, most people don't know this.
Okay, you say that, and I have heard this theory. I have heard this. As a part of the Alphabet Mafia, I have heard the rumblings of such a government conspiracy, and I went, okay, so let me just break it down for you. There's no money in gay sex. So who's winning? Who's, pardon the expression, but who's on the top of all this, right?
Well, you see, they wanted to kill us all off, which I thought was hysterical. However, what happened is back then, there were the guys that were going, you're not telling me not to go to a bathhouse. I'm not changing anything. All those guys died. They died. Just like all these people that are unvaccinated died. So it's no different. So these men died thinking, oh, it's just the government. They manufactured this virus. However, as a teacher of an HIV workshop that's 5 hours with the International Institute of Clinical Sexology, which, by the way, will be online soon so that anyone can take that workshop course for a fee. And I'm not making any money off of this because it's the school, but they're going to put me online so that anybody can take this course that wishes to take it.
If you have any links or anything like that, please send it to us and we'll include it in the video's description and all of that.
Now, the earliest blood sample that they have where HIV was detected in the blood was 1959.
Wow.
That has been documented. So to say that the government in 1959 gave it to somebody and it took 22 years for it to mutate, 22 years for a virus to mutate, really? Look at how fast COVID is mutating.
Yeah.
Measles, mumps, all these other things. And you mean to tell me HIV took 22 years to mutate when there are over 30 strains of HIV?
Yeah.
But it took 22 years at the beginning. They also will say, I saw a documentary stating that they believe the earliest case was in 1901 in Kenya.
Whoa.
Now tell me the government back in 1901, by the way, no radio, no television, very little electricity, but they manufactured a virus in 1901. And it took another 58 years for it to get to 1959. There's so many holes in this theory that it's Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just not.
No, some of them are fun, and then some are like this, where it's very, very dangerous to continue believing and falling down this rabbit hole.
Speaking of people being stupid, though, do you think that we've societally recovered from the way that the AIDS crisis allowed people who were of the opinion that anyone in the LGBTQ community was spiritually or morally corrupt and let them kind of project that onto the physical pollution of queer bodies? Do you think we've kind of recovered from that?
No, I think straight people still have this. Well, he's gay. He must have AIDS. He won't die from it, but he's probably got it. I hear that. You mean you don't have HIV? No. Why? Am I supposed to because I'm gay? Do you hear how stupid you sound? By the way, you're a smoker. How come you're not dead of cancer? I mean, that doesn't make sense. All smokers die of cancer. Don't you have heart disease or cancer? I don't get it. So I throw it back at them. You have to sometimes fight stupidity with even more stupidity. You know, it's like you put out fire with water. You put out stupidity by being more stupid because intelligence doesn't work.
No, absolutely not. They've got this thing or a straw man argument for all of that.
And I've said this for many years, and I'm going to say it to my lovelies in Canada. Once they get to the DNA level and they unravel the secrets of HIV, HIV will be gone. And I believe within the next several years, that is exactly what is going to happen. I believe that with all my heart because they're now giving out injections once a month. You don't have to take a pill every day. And there's a patch that's going to be coming out. You put a patch on like a smoker's patch and you change it once a month.
Yeah, we have come a very long way.
And many cancer treatments have come out because of HIV. Many different dementia treatments have come out because of HIV. So HIV has changed the face of medicine, although you won't see many people in politics saying that because then they'd have to admit that we did something good. And, great people don't do anything good.
Or depending on your politician, that science exists.
Well, in this country, no, there is no such thing as science. I always tell people, when you get sick, don't go to the hospital, go to your local politician office. Because obviously he knows more than a physician. So
right.
Oh, clearly.
You're politicians and don't take any medicine. Don't go to the hospital, go to a politician.
Would you say that the American medical system, at least, it failed your community?
Absolutely. Especially at the beginning. I would say from 81, 82 up until about 2000, it failed. The stigma that was practiced by the medical profession, by the nursing profession, was abominable. What they did to those people, many of them died long before they should have. I'm not saying that HIV wasn't going to kill them, but they died from starvation. They died because they weren't attended to, because they were too afraid. They would go in with full hazmat suits to these people, and I would go in just as you're seeing me. And I said, I got it. Doesn't matter. Of course, it took them how many years to find out? Oh, you can't transmit it this way. Oh, it's not in the air. Oh, it's not in the spit. Oh, it's not in the Oh. It was all these Ohs. It was too late. You didn't let the cat out of the bag. You yanked it out.
Right. So here in Canada, there's still the practice of very clearly marking hospital beds with HIV and AIDS patients.
What?
Yeah.
I'm speechless. I really am.
I imagine you're of the opinion that, you know what, if you were to mark that bed because it needs to be cleaned a different way than, say, any other one, yeah, sure. But, like, that is a post-patient kind of operation. There's no need for that while the patient is still in the bed.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I really am.
How does having HIV and AIDS affect people's, like, mental health? As that is on a rapid decline through COVID? How does that affect us even in the latter years?
What I hear from people that have had I know quite a number of people, of course, I hang out with people my age, and a lot of them have had the virus 25, 35 plus years. COVID scared the living daylights out of them, frightened. I would have to stand outside and talk to them. They wouldn't let me in. And even though I got vaccinated, Jim, stay outside, we'll talk through the window. So I'd go to my car, grab my beach chair, and I'd sit on the outside and talk with them. And I said, I respect the fact that you want to take care of yourself. So let's talk through the window. And I'll kiss the glass and they'll kiss the glass. And I said, I could feel the warmth of your lips, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I respect anybody who wants to take care of their health. And, some of them have fibromyalgia. One of them had a coronary, another one had cancer. I'm not going to sit there, oh, well, this is stupid. I have no right to judge them. So I sit outside and we'll talk, and their mental health, I can tell you for a fact, has suffered greatly. It suffers in and of itself because of the long-term HIV, but it's doubly worse because of COVID. And a lot of them are getting counsel. A lot of them are in therapy. I've made sure that a lot of them are going to therapists. Not me. I'm not a therapist. I do not want to open up a practice, even if I have a PhD. I'm better being an academician.
Table, do you have anything more?
We've hit all the questions I really wanted to ask.
Where I want to end this absolutely thoughtful and amazing conversation is here on this channel. We focus a lot about the media that comes out and absorbing it. Is there any media that portrays this in the best light? Or is there anything to watch or read that would show the evolution of this virus, or anything about this that would show it well?
There's two stations that come to mind. Again, I can only know the United States. It's called Vice, VICE, that has an amazing documentary. It's either Vice or Reels, REELS. One of those stations presented a 2-hour documentary on HIV. It was riveting. I don't remember which, but it's either Vice or Reels. And I don't know if they show those in Canada, but I'm sure since you're on the air, you could probably get a hold of it. But it's one of those two. Absolutely phenomenal. I watched it and I was like, somebody finally did this justice. Very good work. I don't know who did it, but let me tell you, I would have thought public television, but no, it was Vice or Reels.
If we
PBS
find
is
it,
also very good.
If we find it, it is in the description of this video.
Okay.
With that in mind, thank you again for coming back and chatting with us about such an important issue.
It's a pleasure to be here as always, and I feel I'm a part of the Canadian family.
We definitely feel the same way.
Yes.
I love you guys up there. I really do. And I really mean it. If you want to come down to get out of the cold in January or February when it's below zero, it's 50 degrees here and the pool is warm and it's ready. It's heated.
We're looking at -50 this winter, so we might have to take you off on that.
Genuinely.
Oh, I'm dead serious. I have plenty of bedrooms, plenty of places to sleep. There's no issue. And I'm on the water and I have my condo association has a great pool. It's wonderful. So come on down.
If you have any images that you'd like us to show during this episode when it comes out on YouTube, please email those to us and we will happily show them as this episode goes on. With that in mind, if you want to hear more from Dr. Jim, you can tune into our previous episode, our previous conversation with him. If you want to hear more from us on their nerd news and all the other stuff we cover on this channel, you can find us on Twitch twice a week, Mondays for gaming, Thursdays for a nerd news segment, our itty bitty nerdy committee. You can find us on Twitter at Crusade Nerd, on Instagram at Nerd Crusade, and you can find this show wherever you find your podcasts. With that in mind, to be continued.
Amen. Yes, to be continued.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, go ahead and button mash the thumbs up. If you want to swing by when we have a new video, web up the sub button. Oh, and while you're at it, hit the bell to be notified by.